Thank y'all for tuning into Primitive Organic Gardening Guitar today. Just want to do a quick update about the 6th replanting of corn that I've done this year. If y'all been following the channel, you know that I normally don't plant corn, but this year was a little bit different. I had more space than I'm used to having, and I'm not going to the grocery store right now. So I figured this year, why not actually plant some corn? This whole area that was like 15 by 12. It's kind of a raised bed. I mean, there's no like fancy lumber, but it's all bordered by like concrete blocks and pine logs, and it's built up at least, 2 feet above the actual native soil. So I call it a raised bed. This massive raised bed was all corn earlier this year. I think the first planting was about 100 corn seeds, and that was the spacing I wanted. I had about 100 plants spaced out in this 15 by 12 area. And I planted 3 different varieties. I did the Jaws corn, did a bodacious yellow corn, did some, I think it was Stowell's evergreen white corn. And every single time something came out here and dug the seeds up before they would even germinate. And I think it was like the second time I planted, they actually all did germinate. And then a week later, something came by and ate every single plant before it had time to really grow. Like I said, I planted corn 6 times out here. It cost me $12 to $15 in seed to do that. The Jaws corn was incredibly expensive. I think I got a package of like 50 seeds for $4 or something like that. I have 2 plants left. I'm not sure why these 2 managed not to get eaten. Maybe because they're surrounded by wild tomatoes or something. But anyway, it was very frustrating to plant corn 6 times and have something just keep digging it up. I even planted them in buckets, peppers now, but this was corn in here before. The whole area was corn. Like I said, the hugelkultur bed here, all this raised bed back here, this concrete raised bed, every bit of this was corn. And I just kept losing it. And I tried all kinds of things. Come back here with hot sauce, come back here with, I didn't put out poison or anything, but I put out hot sauce. I put urine back here all the time. I put out a sodium nitrate fertilizer, thinking that might keep them away. Nothing really seemed to help, and I was just about to give up and decide I wasn't going to plant corn. And then I decided I was going to plant a little bit of corn in the front yard in fabric pots, and I actually have a couple that just sprouted yesterday. They're very well protected, so we're going to go to the front yard real quick and see how the fortified corn is doing. This one is a Jaws corn, and this one is a Jaws corn. Like I said, these managed to not get eaten for some reason. I don't think I'm going to get any cobs off of these because it's only 2 plants. But I'm going to try to hand pollinate them and see if I get something. If anybody knows about that, if you can actually get a cob of corn off of, just 1 or 2 plants, that seems very implausible to me, but I suppose it's possible. But yeah, let's go in the front yard and look at the fortified corn, and I'll tell you how I fortified it. So now we're in the front yard and we're looking at the heavily fortified corn that's in pots instead of being in the ground. I know corn, shouldn't be planted in containers. That's a foolish thing to do under normal circumstances, but these are not normal circumstances. I figured if I plant them in pots, I can move them around if they start to get eaten by things. Also, maybe it's a little bit harder for, rodents or rabbits or whatever was digging them up to actually get in the pots. You'll notice that some of these pots are probably too small for corn, but that's okay. I don't necessarily have the goal of getting ears off every single plant. The ones that are in the huge fabric pots, I think will actually produce cobs. I went ahead and planted a bunch in little pots just for pollination. I don't care if these actually make corn or not, but they're going to make corn pollen, which will help the ones in the fabric pots to get pollinated. So why did these sprout and not get dug up? Well, I employed a 4-fold strategy here. So we got little mouse traps all around this corn here. Got a big fat rat trap here. We got some glue traps on the ground. And the other thing I did was I buried broken glass in the soil. This piece is actually sticking up, but in the top inch of soil, there's all kinds of broken pieces of glass. So if something tries to dig in here, it's gonna have a bad time. Another another fat rat trap over there. So these are the fabric pots that I think are actually big enough to produce corn that's going to yield. I want to say that's a 20 gallon, maybe 25 gallon fabric pot. This is a 30 gallon here. And then I got all these little pots I mentioned that are mainly just for pollination. I'm going to throw a ton of nitrogen on them. I use organic sodium nitrate. And I come out here with urine every day too. That's the other thing I've been thinking might help keep the rodents and rabbits away. I don't dilute the urine at all. I just come out here with straight urine and pour urine on these plants every single day, sometimes twice a day. Oh look, it's a pest. These are beautiful, but they attack citrus. But this video is not about fancy little flowers and citrus. This video is about how I fortify my corn. So I got the rat traps, the mouse traps, the glue traps. I've still been coming out with hot sauce. I pour urine on these plants every single day. And I got broken glass buried in the soil. And for the finale, I went and dug up some fire ants. And I put fire ants all in here. See if we can find any. They're not too active right now because there's a bunch of rain. But yeah, I sprinkled probably half of a mound on the top surface of some of these corn plants here. So if anything tries to dig up my corn this time, it's gonna earn it. It's gotta get past the glue traps on the ground. It's gotta get past all the mouse and rat traps. It's gotta not get cut by the broken glass. It's gotta not get eaten by the fire ants. And plus all the hot sauce and urine I'm pouring out here will hopefully keep everything away. So we got 2 sprouts here. We got a sprout here, and there's actually a sprout under this trap. So maybe I'll move this trap a little bit. Look at that nice shard of glass there. We got a sprout here. Oh wow, something got one of them. You can see how this corn was killed and it didn't even set off the trap. That's awful. But here's a little sprout that looks like it is pretty protected. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this mouse trap and I'm gonna move this so that it's right next to that sprout there. And let's see, maybe I'll move this one too. So I think if I place them like that, that little corn should be protected. I can't believe this one. Oh, so frustrating. We got 3 or 4 little corn sprouts in here. I know that's too many for a pot, but if we're expecting some to get murdered, it's better to overseed. So yeah, this is the only pot that doesn't seem to have great germination, but it looks like that's because it did have germination. They just got killed. This one's got a little sprout, just one there. I hope this one hangs on. As close as we can get it. This one's got a nice little sprout. I feel like I need to order some more traps so that I can have them all really well guarded like that. But yeah, so hopefully between the fire ants, the rat traps, the mouse traps, the glue traps, the urine, the hot sauce, the broken glass, hopefully I'll get some corn this year. I personally believe in biological controls over everything else, so I think the fire ants are going to be the most effective control thing out here. But we shall see. I sprinkled fire ants in all these pots, but it seems like they only really want to establish in the fabric pots, probably because they're drier. So yeah, that's the corn update. And now we can go back at looking at silly butterflies. I should come out here and swat this thing. This is a pest. Oh, it's a butterfly. It's so pretty. It's a pest. They lay eggs all over my citrus trees, and they hatch these little bird poop cyanide caterpillars. I don't know why we're looking at this. Oh, look, a bee. Something that's not a pest. Get you out here foraging before the hurricane. Trying to get all that food before the hurricane. You're a hungry guy. gal. Alright, well, I got work to do because hurricane's coming and I have a lot of cleaning to do, and I expect quite a bit of damage to the garden, so I'm gonna try to stake what I can and tie some stuff down. The one nice thing about hurricane weather is it's not as miserably hot as usual. For the past couple days, the high with the heat index has been 108, 109, and the low at night has been like 80, and with the heat index it's still about 85, 86 at night. And today the high is only 80 with a heat index of about 85, and the low tonight is 67, which I am really excited about. I normally go out and surf during hurricanes, but I got too much work to do this year with the garden. It's a lot bigger than it usually is, and I just don't really feel like going out there and surfing this year because of the pandemic and all that. If I get stuck out there, I don't want to have to call anybody for help or anything like that. But you can see the winds are already picking up. We had a little taste of it the other day. I had some damage in the garden. A couple of the bell pepper plants snapped in half. But anyway, this video update was supposed to be about corn, not about flowers and butterflies and hurricanes. I'm actually going to do a pre-hurricane video like I always do every year. I always like to show the before and afters of hurricanes, show what the garden looks like right before it hits, show what the garden looks like right after it hits. But yeah, this is my corn update video and how I fortify my corn, and hopefully I'll get some corn this year.